Hello and welcome back to Who in Espresso, and there hasn't been any news for a while, so I'm finally caving and I've decided to talk about some Doctor Who rumours, most notably to do with the 14th Doctor's casting. And this has been a bit of a long slog, I think, for a lot of people. A lot of people have been... Because we've known kind of for over a year now that Jodie was going to be leaving this year. Obviously, it was leaked in, I can't remember, some newspaper a long time ago now. And since then, it's been constant, who will the 14th Doctor be? And to be honest, I'm kind of getting sick of it. So I'm hoping they'll announce it soon. And I'm kind of using this video to sort of get out some of my feelings towards some of these frontrunners, which have probably been some of the most interesting choices for frontrunners that I've seen in my time as a fan. Some that I think it started off fairly plausible, and then it's just become a bit weirder and weirder as it's gone on, let's just say. But yeah, I mean, first of all, before we get into this, I'm going to sort of rank them. And the only reason why the person I put above the first two isn't bottom is because I will explain. But I just want to make it clear about who ideally I would cast as the next Doctor. I mean, based on my sort of run of stories that never really took off last year, I would have ideally cast a non-binary actor to play the Doctor. I think that's a really great idea, to have a non-binary or gender fluid Doctor. I think that would be a really good choice, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So ideally, I think I'd probably pick a female Doctor. I don't really know if I would be wanting a male Doctor, but I think I could maybe live with it. I guess I would put up with it, but ideally that is what I would want. But yeah, so before we get into my ranking, that's just my thoughts on who I would cast as the next Doctor, or who I think would make a great choice in terms of casting the next Doctor. So yeah, let's get on with the video and the ranking of the current frontrunners for the 14th Doctor. So, in last place, we have Ollie Alexander. And actually, this one isn't necessarily because I think he'd be a particularly bad Doctor. I just don't think... Well, also his agent is the only candidate on this list who has also been, denied by his agent, has said that he's not doing it. And his music career is really taking off at the moment. He's just released a new album called Night Call, I think. And I keep meaning to listen to it because I think it'd be quite interesting to get into his music. I've not listened to much of it. But I did love his performance in It's a Sin. And I wouldn't be disappointed if it did turn out that he was the Doctor, to be honest. I just think that he has a more stunt cast vibe to him. I think he's more likely to be like a guest star in the vein of Kylie Minogue. I just don't think, particularly with his music career taking off like it is, I don't think it's likely. I mean, he was phenomenal in It's a Sin, and he really led that really well. He gave such an emotional performance in that. It had me in tears by the end of it. But I just can't see it happening, especially since his agent has denied it. I'm not saying it'd be a particularly bad idea to have him. I just think, well, he's been denied, so it's not going to happen. So yeah, that is last place, Ollie Alexander. I think out of all the people on this list, I know I put Ollie Alexander last. That was more because, as I mentioned, his agents just denied it, and I don't think it's going to happen at all. This is the one that I don't want to happen the most. And let me explain this. This is an interesting rumour that's cropped up over the last few days. And there's two ways I could see it going if it did happen, and that's obviously David Tennant, if you haven't been following this. It's also rumoured that Catherine Tate would also return, but in the weirdest possible way. So the idea apparently behind this is that David Tennant and Catherine Tate will return, but not as the 10th Doctor and Donna. And, I mean, I have no problems with either of them returning for the 60th anniversary. Hell, if they did lead a series of specials in the 60th and included the 14th Doctor in those specials to hype it up, I'd be fine with it. I just don't get why you would have them playing the 14th Doctor. I just don't think it would work to have Jodie Whittaker regenerate backwards into David Tennant and be like, oh yeah, I was vain, and that would be it's just so stupid. And I mean, all this stuff and stuff to do with this has just got me so mad, because I just don't think it's a good idea at all. I think the whole idea is quite possibly one of the most ridiculous things the fandom has ever come up with. And I mean, that's not knocking David Tennant's Doctor, but I also have to take into account that, I mean, once you start bringing stuff back like David Tennant, like, you run the risk that it's going to ruin the perfect memory that you have of his era. I mean, what if he comes back and you don't like it anymore? It's going to ruin that sort of memory, and I don't think I'd want that necessarily. I don't think it would happen necessarily, but it's a possibility. And I'd rather just keep David Tennant's era in its own little shell, and I just don't think that he should really come back and have his own era again. It just sounds really odd, and this is what really prompted me to make this video. It's just because it's such a random rumour, and just bizarre at the end of the day. I mean, we've had some really random rumours. I also personally feel that out of all the Doctors to return, I think David Tennant had his fair innings. Like, he had an era which was 3 seasons long. He got his specials. He got his character arc done. And when there are so many Doctors out there, like Christopher Eccleston and Paul McGann, and even to extent like Joe Martin, like those 3 actors and actresses who have played the Doctor in very limited runs, I would be kind of insulted if the BBC were like, you know what, we're going to bring back a past incarnation, but we're going to give someone who had their full time on the show, instead of someone who had their time on the show cut short. It just seems so stupid to me. But yeah, if I was going to bring back a Doctor, I would definitely bring back Jo Martin. I think her time on the show was incredible. And I just wish that it probably won't... I know that it's probably not going to get continued after the Chris Chibnall era, which is what makes me even more sad about the fact that David Tennant might get cast again. It just feels like we're losing something that has so much potential, and instead we're just going backwards, if you know what I mean. So I would be kind of annoyed if David Tennant did get brought back as the Doctor. I just don't think it'd be very good. I mean, I wouldn't mind it if he was leading a series of specials, but as the 10th Doctor and introducing the 14th Doctor as well. I do not want him under any circumstances to become the 14th Doctor. I just think that would be so irritating to me. I just wouldn't be able to deal with it, to be honest. But yeah, off that slightly negative train of thought, and on to the next person, who is an interesting pick. I'm not entirely sure how to feel about the next pick, but we'll have a look in a minute. Up next is Fadi El Sayed, who obviously starred in the BBC Three Doctor Who spin-off series that was very short-lived, Class. I think he was actually very good in that, to be honest. And I think it's rather a shame that that spin-off series didn't really continue. But I guess if he was to take up the role of the Doctor, it wouldn't necessarily require much explanation. Unlike when Peter Capaldi took over the role of the Doctor, and obviously everyone knew him from The Fires of Pompeii, and it seemed a bit weird, but at least here it's a spin-off series which isn't as well known as the other spin-off series. Even K9, I think, is somewhat more infamous. I think a lot of people do still know about that in terms of the mainstream 3 that we think of, like Class, Torchwood and Sarah Jane, it is there, it registers, but like, I think mainly people tend to think of Sarah Jane and Torchwood, so it wouldn't be that much of an ask to just slip it in. And as I said, I think he had quite a good arc with that series. I think he dealt with a lot of the emotional trauma of losing his girlfriend and then his dad in the finale. Spoilers for Class. I mean, it's never coming back, so it doesn't really matter, but, you know, he dealt with that a lot, and he gave quite depth to his character in Class. So I think out of all the rumoured actors to play the Doctor, this is the one that actually I wouldn't mind it if it was true. I think it could work out, but I obviously, as I mentioned, would probably rather a female Doctor, which is why you may be able to notice that all the male actors are towards the end of the list, because they are the actors that I don't particularly want. But I could see this working. So yeah, that is Fadi El Sayed. So let's talk Lydia West. Now, Lydia West for me is an interesting pick. She's obviously Jodie Whittaker's choice for the next Doctor, and has been one that I would personally champion to play the Doctor. I think she's got a certain sort of kindness and a sort of warmth around her, which just seems very so nice. It seems so really nice. Particularly that came across in her role in It's a Sin, I think, when she was playing Jill in that. She just seemed just so nice. And I think that really is a quality that I think the Doctor sometimes lacks, which is why I do sometimes maybe think that she would be more suited to the companion role, because I think she comes across as just that bit more compassionate than the Doctor is, actually. The Doctor, although very kind and so on, has a bit of an edge to them, and that is why the companion is often there, is to keep them in line and to sort of have that element where they are sort of making sure the Doctor does the right thing. So I would definitely hope that Lydia West is in Russell T Davies's second era of Doctor Who. In fact, I'm fairly certain that she will be in some capacity, given that she has in fact starred in the two previous most recent Russell T Davies dramas, Years and Years and It's a Sin, both fantastic dramas in which she gives fantastic performances in both. She truly is a gifted actress that I'm surprised hasn't been picked up more. I really would love to see her as the Doctor. I would, however, just like to see her as a companion a bit more. I think she has a sort of Rose vibe to her, actually. Particularly in It's a Sin, I think she has that Rose vibe. And she does have a sort of very nice sort of companion vibe to her anyway. So I would like to maybe see her as a companion more. But I wouldn't say no to her being the Doctor. I think she could kill it in the role as well. And so my top pick out of the Frontrunners for the Doctor is Tania Miller, and this is one that I think a lot of people want to play the Doctor. She has such gravitas to her performances that I think she would kill it in this role. She has a sort of very, I don't know, she just has a lot of presence, I think, in every shot she is in. She's sort of very, I don't know, she has that dramatic sort of epic Doctor vibe, and I think a lot of the fan editors have seen of her, she looks very Doctor-y in the TARDIS. I think she would be amazing, and honestly my dream Doctor Who cast would probably be her and Lydia West as the companion. I think they would make such a great dynamic for the series. These are definitely my top two picks out of all of them. I think particularly Russell's writing, I mean, we know that he works really well with these two actresses, so I think it would be phenomenal to see them in the TARDIS together, actually, which is why they're at the top of my list. I think it's just so incredible in both shows, It's a Sin and Years and Years. And I just think I would love to see more of Tania Miller. I don't really get to see much of her because a lot of her shows like Haunted by Manor are all on Netflix, and I don't have Netflix. But I would just love to see her in this role. So yeah, those are my picks for the 14th Doctor. So there we have it. Those are the current frontrunners for the Doctor, the 14th Doctor. I've seen a couple of other names thrown in there. Michael Sheen, I think it's just not right time for Michael Sheen. I could maybe see him in a few years' time. Maybe I think he would be very good as the Doctor. I just don't think now is the right time to cast him. Who else was... I think Ben Whishaw and what's his name from The Responder in Sherlock, Martin Freeman, have also been rumoured. I don't think Martin Freeman would actually be very good as the Doctor at all. I think he doesn't really... I think he'd make a good Graham-like character, sort of wise, sort of background character maybe. I don't think he would work as the Doctor. But yeah, those are probably the most recent sort of rumoured ones. I think there's been a few Line of Duty stars rumoured here and there. I think there's been a lot. I mean, I think even Craig Parkinson was rumoured at some point. So it just goes to show how random and outlandish these theories can get and these rumours. And I think that just goes to show that really at the end of the day, none of these rumours matter. And that is probably why I wanted to make this video more than anything else, is it feels a bit overwhelming to constantly see all these rumours about who the next Doctor will be, and it's just, at the end of the day, I just want to put it to bed and just focus on what is to come with the final 2 episodes of Jodie's era, and I guess that's just all I have to say really on the matter. But I just hope, if nothing else, I just hope it's not David Tennant. I mean, I'd love to see David for the 60th, I really would, but I do think he has become somewhat oversaturated. I don't think it doesn't feel like we've been missing David Tennant, if you know what I mean. If we hadn't had all the stuff with Big Finish and all the comic team-ups and everything, maybe it would be a different story, but right now I feel like it would not be a good idea to bring him back at all. I just would not be behind that. But any of the other picks here, really, I wouldn't mind that much. I think I'd be quite happy with them. But yeah, so those are the frontrunners for Doctor Who, the 14th Doctor. If there are any more, I honestly hope that an announcement is around the corner. I cannot bear the fact that this is probably going to be overshadowing Jodie's final 2 episodes. I'd far rather concentrate on those, and it just feels like all the tension is on the 14th Doctor rumours. But yeah, let's just get this over with and hope we find out soon so the hype can finally be over. It just feels it's just been so long. At the end of the day, it just feels like it's been too long since we found out Jodie was leaving, and we just don't know who it is next. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not consider subscribing down below? Tell me your thoughts on the current frontrunners to be the Doctor. I haven't actually included anyone who I personally picked to be the Doctor in this list, although I would pick Lydia West or Tania Miller, definitely. But tell me your thoughts on who you think should play the 14th Doctor. That would be quite interesting as well. So yeah, thanks for watching and goodbye.